On today's video, we are going to talk about the position above rate on Google Ads. First of all, what the hell is it? And why does it matter to what you're doing trying to make money with Google Ads for your business? I'm going to go over both of those points on this video here today, so you're going to be walking away from the video with everything you need in a practical sense to actually utilize it to make money, okay? So this isn't going to be some geeky reply to, oh, this is actually what Google says, and then which doesn't give you any information to actually make money. This gives you practical information to make money. Yes, the definition is going to be kind of explained of what it is, but unless it's actually put into context with how it actually makes you less or more competitive in the auctions on Google so that you can actually beat your competition, it isn't going to help you, which is where most of the other content on YouTube actually is, which is why you subscribe to this channel. So with that said, I'm going to go through the information that, like I said, that you need coming from somebody who runs an agency, manages dozens of Google Ads accounts on an ongoing basis, real practical information on this topic. So, to get started here, position above rate on Google Ads. As we all know, there's 4 positions generally that show at the top of Google. Okay? Position 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? If you did not know already, basic fundamentals behind these positions are this top position here, position number 1. This, if you did not know, is the lowest converting position on Google Ads. Why does it convert less? It's pretty simple. People that go to Google anymore, what they do is they type in what they want. They're spoiled little babies, basically. Type in what they want, and then they expect Google to just regurgitate back to them what it is that they are looking for without having to read your ad. They just think whatever Google's going to provide is what they need already, and they're not going to have to think, or maybe they're distracted, they're tired, they're high, they're drunk, whatever the hell. And then they end up wasting your budget if you don't have your ads targeted well. Now, if you had your ad targeted really, really, really well, 100% of the time, your conversion rate won't be affected too much. Still is going to be affected some, but not too much. Why? Because the people that aren't reading your ads, which are like half the people, believe it or not, which is why the effect on the conversion rate is so great, or even more than half, 2/3. They get to your site, they're going to call, and you're not going to get the wrong, somebody calling you that's asking for about this, but they were really looking for that, whatever there. Or if you're talking about an e-commerce site, they weren't looking for something you couldn't provide or don't sell. So, with that said, it's the lowest converting position. Even if you do have something that is relevant to what the user is searching for, if they don't read your ad, they're not being pre-qualified at all, right? You could say, we're cheap, and they're looking for expensive, or vice versa. And if they don't read the ad, you're going to have a lower conversion rate because of that for that person who doesn't read the ad, from that category of people who don't read the ad. So, all in all, that first position is going to convert less because the people who don't read are normally clicking on that first position. Okay? So that's your base information you need to know about Google, the difference between these 4 positions, and the background information about position above rate, why it's actually going to be relevant to you to make more money on Google, running ads for your business. Okay? Now, second thing here to know, positions number 3, conversely, and positions number 4 on the Google ad pack, if you want to call it that, are the best converting positions. Okay? Why? Because nobody's going to click on your ad on number 3 or number 4 unless they're going to be reading. Otherwise, they would have just clicked the first one. Okay? Pretty simple. Number 3 and number 4 convert pretty much the same, so there isn't one that converts clearly better than the other. Just know that those 2 are going to convert significantly better than number 1. However, position number 1 here is going to convert 2 to 3 times more of the searchers into clicks. So in other words, the click-through rate's 2 to 3 times higher on this first position. Why? Because it's the first damn position on the page. More people are going to click through the first than the second, than the third versus the fourth. It's just like that in the organic listings. There's lots of studies done on this that show if you rank number 1, you're getting like a 12% click-through. Well, if you rank number 2, you're already down to like, 7%, and then below that it's like 3%. It goes down really fast. So the ads are the same way. Further down you go, the less the click-through rate you can expect from that position. Even the people that read the ad, because the non-readers are just going to click on the first one, like I said before. The readers, are going to read the first ad and see if it's relevant. And if it is, they'll just click on that one right away, basically speaking, and then go down the list. Now, everybody doesn't read it in that order 1, 2, 3, 4 like that, but a good chunk does, or enough to skew this to where more people are going to click on the first position because of, naturally there'll be a good half or more of the people will just read the first one and then the second one like that, because that's the natural inclination of how you read things on a page. So, with that said, what's the ideal position here? The ideal position here depends on your position of where the profitability of your business. And so, if you do not want to be in position 1, if you're already operating on razor thin margins. Let's say you need $8 in sales revenue for every dollar that you're spending on Google ads, okay? That's just baseline profitability because your margins suck. You're doing drop shipping, you're outsourcing stuff, you have razor thin margins already in your business, let's say. You can't afford to do 7 to 1 because it's just not profitable at that point anymore. Well, and you're at 8.25. Well, at that point in time, assuming you're mainly showing up number 3 position or number 4 position, you can't afford to be a number 1 position because your conversion rate is going to go down at that point. And even though you would have a lot more customers because the number 1 position gets a higher click-through, your conversion rate goes down and then drops you below the minimum threshold that it takes for you to be profitable with your ad spend at all. So you can have 1,000,000 times more conversions. If it's not in an 8 to 1 return, it's relevant. It's just going to drain your bank account faster. On the flip side, if you need an 8 to 1 return and that's acceptable to you and you're now at 15 to 1, it'll generally make more sense to bid higher or do what you otherwise need to do so that you're in the number 1 top position here. Why? Because you're going to get 3 times as many customers going from position 4 to number 1. Yes, the conversion rate is going to be less, but like I said, it can be minimally less conversion rate if your targeting is set up really, really well, so the accidental clickers, if you will, they still have a high chance of converting with you because it's still fundamentally what they were looking for. Going back to that whole concept I was trying to explain before. So, with all this said, how does this apply to the position above rate? The position above rate is going to be how often you are above a particular competitor, okay? On that position above rate on the auction insights section of your Google Ads account. So, basically speaking, you shouldn't, to clarify on this whole thing, you don't pay attention to your competitors and say, okay, if they're here, they must be making money, so I want to be here or above them. Because 80% of the people who are running Google Ads aren't even making money. They're not at break even after expenses. They don't track well. A majority of people don't even track the results. They don't even know that they're not making money. They're making money from repeat business over here. The Google Ads is running at a loss, so they can run the Google Ads at a loss indefinitely because it's being carried by what they're doing over here from this other lead source, referrals or organic traffic or whatever. So your position above rate, if you will, how that is and should be relevant to you as per you wanting to make more money in your business, that can tell you, you can't glean nothing from your competitor's position on Google Ads. It doesn't tell you everything, but it does tell you some. If you see you're consistently below, like below 50% above on the position above rate on a particular competitor, and your ROI is also substantially above the minimum threshold that you know you needed to be profitable in your business, then I would want to bid higher. If I'm using manual bidding, I'm going to bid more per click. If I'm using target ROAS or target CPA bidding, I'm going to change that, because that operates like a lever to where, which a lot of people don't think about it that way. If you're at a 10-to-1 return, okay, your target ROAS is at an 8-to-1 on your campaign, you can actually take that target ROAS and set it to 700% and get higher up on this list. So basically, yes, your overall ROI should go down a little bit, but you're still going to remain above 800% if that's your minimum threshold that you need. But you're going to get a lot more clicks because it's going to push you higher up on this list. So target ROAS bidding, changing that up or down, that's basically the same thing as changing manual bidding up or down. It operates the same way. Same thing with target CPA bidding. So again, your goal should be to be as high up as a list as you can effectively, where you're still getting a minimum threshold of profitability, basically bottom line, okay? Position above rate tells you, generally speaking, in addition to where you're at in terms of your profitability, as a secondary indicator, we'll say, whether or not you should be bidding more aggressively. If your position above rate is 99%, bidding more may not actually do anything for you. But it certainly may still do more for you though as well, because that competitor may not be bidding that aggressively themselves. So that's why I say the position above rate is a secondary indicator, not a primary indicator that you go for. Primary indicator should still be, what level of profitability am I at? And if you don't know what level of profitability you're at, you try to figure it out. And it's certainly difficult a lot of times to figure out how profitable your Google Ads are, mainly because a lot of the times, especially when you sell more expensive products or services, that what they call the sales cycle time, or the time from the time that a person initially enters the market, does their research, and the time they buy is longer on average. The more expensive the thing is that you sell is, the longer the average sales cycle window time is before they ultimately, on average, decide to buy from your market or not. And the longer it takes for them to decide to buy, the less accurate the tracking is going to be. If you're selling a $20 broom, the tracking that Google has provided you by default is pretty accurate. You certainly should be able to get 80-90% of the conversions you get from your ads to show up in your account, and then pretty well know exactly how profitable you are at all times. We're very close. Versus if you're selling a $3,000 custom furniture, or not really custom, but furniture on your site, then basically you can expect only about a third of your sales through the cart are going to be tracked through your Google Ads account. So you got to then at that point do a secondary analysis on how your overall sales at your company are doing as a proportion of what you're spending on Google Ads, which is something that people in the marketing industry do all the time, and something called marketing efficiency ratio, or MER. So you simply just say, instead of looking at the Google Ads data to see how profitable you are, which the data is not perfect, it's just a matter of how perfect is it based upon what you're selling and how expensive it is. You're going to say, instead of paying attention to, at least to see how profitable you are as a company from these Google Ads, you're going to set, instead of looking at the data directly, you're going to say, I know I need $8 in sales for every dollar in ad spend, and as long as I'm not ultimately at an 8-to-1 ratio of overall sales in my company to ad spend, I'm going to keep trying to spend more on Google Ads until that ratio is not at least at an 8-to-1. In other words, so if I'm at basically $800 a day in sales, and I'm spending $100 a day on Google Ads, and I know I need an 8-to-1 return, I'm going to try to spend $125 a day to scale my ads, but if I'm not going to scale my ads again until I got to you know, basically where that 8-to-1 rate, you know, $800+ in overall sales per day, so that it maintain that ratio. Now, I know a lot of people don't like hearing or doing this because they say, well, what if I got sales over here? Then really it's not the Google ad. I don't know if Google ads really influence my overall sales going up, but that's a better method to understand your profitability from Google ads for when you sell something expensive than looking at the data inside Google ads. Using the data inside Google ads, if you want that to show that you're getting an 8-to-1 return, you're just never going to get there because it so undercounts the sales that you're just never going to get anywhere with it. So it's better, with your two options, that's your better option basically. So anyway, you have to do an analysis and find out where you're at to know if you should be bidding more aggressively to go up the list to get more clicks and at a lesser conversion rate but still more clicks. It almost never makes sense if you're over the mark of the ROI that you need to be profitable to not get more clicks and get more sales. Bet at a little bit lesser conversion rate, but a lot more sales as a result of, and with the ads that you have set up and campaigns you have set up in your account. With that said, okay, I've got a basic case study just to also put this in the frame of reference here a little bit better for you as well. So we did a basic case study, just took a random account that had quite a bit of data with it, and we went ahead and paid attention to when we were at position around 3 versus position 1, where we were in a position where we jacked up the bids so that we would be at 1 because our ROI was above average, and there was limited availability of a way to scale just by turning up the daily budget on the campaigns because the market was limited. So in order to scale the campaigns, our only option was to be higher up in the list for the searchers that are there. And so what we ended up having when we were not bidding as aggressively, we're starting out around that 3 or 4 spot on Google. We went from a click-through rate when we were closer to the 3 position on average of 7%. When we raised the bids to be consistently at number 1, we went to an 18% click-through rate. So that's huge. More than double the amount of customers we were able to get because of the click-through rate specifically by itself. Now, that would be the case, of course, though, if the conversion rate was not affected, because it over doubled the clicks, but the conversion rate was affected some. As I mentioned, it would be, even if you have the targeting really well down, so if they accidentally click through, you're still relevant to the person that you're trying to advertise to on average. So in that particular case, going from 3 to 1, we started out with about a 5% conversion rate, and we went down to about a 3% conversion rate. So, basically we're talking about our conversion rate dropping about 60%, or should I say 40%, sorry, but the overall clicks more than doubling. So the amount of clicks, the increase in click-through rate offset the reduction in conversion rate that we're getting, but it was okay because our ROI is off the charts for this particular account and this company that we were working with, running these Google ads, which is typical in a smaller market. If you're the biggest guy in a small market, it's easy to have really good returns on Google ads because there's not as much competition. If you're a little guy in a big market, it's the opposite. You're probably not, your main problem is getting to profitability, not we are profitable, how do we scale this even more? And already did the easy to scale things, which is just turn up the daily budget on the campaigns. Turn it up as high as you can get it. Now it's not going to go any higher. You're not going to spend any more unless you actually physically bid more to be at the higher end of this list, or higher end of the ad pack here. So anyway, position above rate, that's a basic overview of what you need to know about it, how it will play into factor in what you're doing. So in summary, it's not that important of a metric. It can kind of give you an idea of, if your ROI is good on your current, your Google advertising that you have, and you want an idea if, bidding more money or changing your target ROAS or target CPA settings, is that going to net you, is it going to be worth doing at the end of the day? seeing your competitor consistently above you, that in and itself can be a great, we'll just say confidence builder, that if you go ahead and raise your bids, it's going to pay off for you. You'll know that, just from what I'm telling you here, your click-through rate will go up, you'll get more clicks, your conversion rate will come down a little bit, but the fact that your competitors consistently above you should be even a stronger indicator that, like the case study that I gave you here today, the company that we were working with in the services space, okay, that you'll end up having a similar outcome on your expedition in raising your bids to try to be in this #1 position, and with that, have it actually pay off mathematically wise for your business. So if you have tiny margins, position above rate, you're barely making it, really don't have to pay attention to it at all. What you need to do is pay attention to what keywords, what demographics are working, what are not working, what devices, stuff like that. When you are running out of ways to scale, you are profitable already, that's the time where position above rate, it comes into play a lot, at least to try to take into whether you're going to make the decision to jack up your bids and be at the top of the list on Google consistently, versus in this 3 or 4 position, which is the most efficient, but isn't going to get you the most sales. So anyway, with that said, hopefully that made a lot of sense. If you have any questions about anything I covered here today, leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a comment on this channel, usually within a couple days. You can, by the way, ask me any ad-related question you would like. I'd be more than happy to try to answer it for you using my 15 years of ad experience as a way of just giving back for watching our channel. Beyond that, if you like what you've seen here, this channel is chock full of information just like this that will help you make millions of dollars, literally speaking, from your ads, coming from somebody who does ad strategy all day long as my sole job, not a YouTuber, not a course seller. Therefore, the information is valid that I'm providing you here. So if you're going to pay attention to anybody and want real practical advice on how to make money, this is the channel you want to subscribe to. And furthermore, I have a blog,